Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Colin Mahan, and I'm a program manager here at the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center. For those of you who may not know, the NASDAQ Center is a nonprofit dedicated to enabling entrepreneurs from all over the world to realize their maximum potentials and grow. All for free, by the way. As you may have seen in the chat, the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center, along with our partner Mentor Club, launched a free mentor matching platform for entrepreneurs called Mentor Makers. Create your own advisory board to guide and inspire you with in-the-moment mentorship from topic experts and professionals dedicated to providing exceptional mentorship to entrepreneurs across all races, industries, and geographies. Together, we will build the greatest exchange of knowledge and expertise in service to entrepreneurs in business today. Find or become a mentor today by using the link in the chat. Entrepreneurs are the dreamers, the doers, the visionaries who are not just solving the problems in our community and world face today, but those that will create a better future for us all. Mentorship matters to all entrepreneurs, and their success depends on it. Quick housekeeping item, we're going to open up for live Q&A at the end of the event, so please submit your questions throughout the presentation at the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. Again, none of what we do could be possible without all the amazing support from our sponsors, including NASDAQ, Lehigh University, Bank of the West, KPMG, Wilson Sonsini, Woodruff Sawyer, BPM, NZTE, and Microsoft for Startups. We are humbled and thankful for their contributions. Now, during these unique times we're all still in, we're curious on how sentiment is amongst the entrepreneurs we work with. So we're going to start by taking a poll to gauge how everyone's doing out there, and also on what is the number one thing that's keeping you up at night with regards to your business. So appreciate you taking a moment to give us a little feedback on how you're doing and what are some of the topics that we should be hosting here at the center. The What's Keeping You Up at Night one helps us understand where we should be directing our content for future programs. So appreciate you guys. I'm going to give this another couple seconds. Looks like we've got almost 50% of you guys. So appreciate your votes. And I'm going to end this poll and share these results. So it looks like in 2021, this has been a trend. We've got a healthy dose of optimism, which is great. And the number one thing keeping people up at night in our audience is sales, which is good because that's what we are here to talk about today. Without any further delay, please join me in giving a warm welcome to our special guests, Lori Richardson, who's the CEO of Score More Sales and president of Women's Sales Pros. Lori, over to you.
Thank you, Colin. and Isis and everyone at NASDAQ Entrepreneur Center. It's really a pleasure to be here today. And when you said the dreamers and the doers, boy, I can really relate to that. I started on my entrepreneurial journey about 18 years ago. I can't believe it's been that long. But prior to that, I was in sales in one capacity or another for small companies, startup, mid-size, even enterprise-sized companies for over 20 years. And I grew up in a family-run business. My grandmother was an entrepreneur, and my father and his parents were entrepreneurs as well. So there's a lot of entrepreneur in me, and I hope that I can deliver something of value today for you. Just to keep the two-way conversation going, would everyone just type in the chat box where you're from, and if you're up for being open-minded to hearing about one new idea today. So where are you from? And oh, Seattle, that's my home. Oh, Joanne. Hi, Joanne. Hey, folks, Brooklyn, Oakland, California, Kalamazoo. Wow, Canada, Chicago, Toronto, Traverse City, New York. Great, guys. Poland, I think you win. We'll see if anybody's further away. Wonderful to have you all here. I know there are a lot of startup founders and entrepreneurs, and I do often work with bigger companies, so I'm really going to try to keep my remarks appropriate to what we're talking about today and for this audience. So we have a wide variety of folks, and I saw the registration that there's a wide variety of industries and businesses. We will take questions at the end, and I told Colin that I hope to end soon enough so that we'll have plenty of time for that. So here's what I think. Most people don't like a simple idea. They just don't listen to it. Let me get to that. People think that a simple idea doesn't work. I don't know if you're that way, but I've found that sometimes in working with small businesses and entrepreneurs and even bigger businesses, people think something has to be more complex to be effective. I'm going to talk to you about something today that is not complex. I've seen it be really life-changing when it comes to growing sales revenues. And if that's one of the points that everybody is focused on today, or the bulk of the people are interested in, then this is what I'm going to talk about. I also, I'm going to show you this one thing today. And here's what I ask. Be open to it and maybe try it, okay? Lots of people won't do it, and most people don't in business. I've talked about this idea for many years, over the years, and we'll see what you think. So here goes, all right? First point, you have clients, correct? You call them customers, you might call them patrons, guests, partners, not sure in your business what you do, but you have some sort of clients, and you keep track of that information. I would hope that is true. I don't have the chat box showing for me right now, so I may have, Colin can always, you can chime in. That done if you're brand new as an entrepreneur, and if you're a seasoned entrepreneur, this is common knowledge. Okay, so you have clients. What's the next thing you have? You have future clients that we call prospects, or you may call them something else. And people track those too, right? You have them in LinkedIn, you have them in your CRM system, you have them in different places. So that's where most people stop. They have clients and then they have their prospects, but they don't have the third thing. Go ahead, Isis. Here are the two lists you have. You have your client list, and I know you don't write it manually. Hopefully not. You're doing it digitally. But that third list, let's go to the next slide. This is where you keep track of strategic referrers. You can call them refers. I call them strategic refers because they're really key. They're really important to the lifeblood of your business. And go ahead to the next one. Here are some stats that I want to make sure that you're aware of when it comes to referring business. What I love about getting referrals is that they have a much lower cost to acquire that new customer. Marketers say that it's the second highest source of quality leads. I'm not sure what they say is the first quality source of leads. I say as a seller, referrals are the #1 source of quality leads. And if you look, 20 to 50%, it's higher now in terms of purchasing decisions for word of mouth. Business-to-business companies with referrals have a 70% higher conversion rate, and they report a 69% faster close time on sales. That's key. What that means is that if someone that you know or knows you sends you a customer because they understand the business and think that you can help this person or company, that person or company is more likely to do business with you, and they're more likely to do it sooner. So you're closing business in a much quicker manner. They also churn less, so they tend to stay longer as a customer. They're not going to immediately leave. And it says 16% more in profits. I think it's higher than that. There's so many times people have referred people our way and they didn't even ask about the price. They just know that we did well by someone they knew and they just wanted to do the same thing. So really important. This is, a key piece of information. Take a picture of it if you want. We'll have slides available for everyone afterwards as well. But this is why it's so important. And yet people don't follow a process to keep track of the people that can refer you. So that's the core of what I want to talk about today. So let's go to the next one. We're going to define what a strategic referrer is and who they are in your world. Go ahead, Isis. So these are people that know you. Of course, they have to know who you are so they can refer business your way. They may like you, but you know what? They don't have to like you. You may like them, but you don't have to like them. What you need to do, though, is respect either them or the business, the services that they provide, or the products that they offer. Because if you know that something is a great value or it's serving a wonderful purpose, it's a great thing in the community, you're going to refer that company or that person to others that you know in your circle. And so that's one of the best ways to get referred because, people that know you generally want to help you, which is really good. So one thing is that you need to be very clear to the people that you know about what it is that you do and make it as simple as possible. We're not going to talk about value propositions today, but you need to keep it real simple about what you do, how you help people, examples of how you help them. And then if you know people that work in adjacent services or adjacent areas to what you do, you can get referrals and you can give referrals to people like that. So for example, I'm in the sales world. I've been in business to business selling for 20 years in technology, manufacturing, distribution, all sorts of different industries. I don't do marketing. So I refer marketers all the time. I refer people in all aspects of marketing, from digital marketing to brand folks to anything in terms of search and finding people online and all those, and then technologies mix in as well. But in addition, I also can refer people like with finance backgrounds, bankers, people who work with CEOs, CEO leadership groups. There's so many different people. And of all those different services and companies, I identify individuals And I keep track of those individuals and I follow up with those individuals on an ongoing basis. I know it sounds really basic, but again, 90% of the people don't do this. So let's go to the next slide. And what I'd love for you to do, can we get like maybe 2 minutes of you just jotting down some potential strategic referrers? Do it by name, type it online if if you're in, if you have something set up to type into. I use Google Keep. I don't know if anybody uses that, but it's awesome. I really like Google Keep. Jot something down, at least put a few down. And hopefully you're already doing this. I'd love to hear from people in chat as we're going on, if this is something that is, not totally unfamiliar to you. It's somewhat familiar, and I will be looking at the chat as well. So just take another minute or so and just jot something down. You can do it by name, you can do it by industry. Okay, did everybody get a couple names down? Few names? Someone said, I protect and register trademarks, so for me, a branding agency would be good. Absolutely. I have a log. Previous colleagues have been great referrers. Yes, previous colleagues that know you and trust you can be very, very good. All right, so you have the idea. I want you to fill out a page. Maybe it's 10, I'm gonna give you a homework assignment at the end, a little takeaway for you to do. So let's go to the next slide, Isis. In order for people to really refer you or to put up with you when you're having trouble online like I did, everybody cut me a little break today, which was really wonderful. If you always have this, what I say, if you can amaze your strategic referrers, if you can do some of the things that I mentioned on here, do what you say, don't make excuses. I use what's called the FOOF factor, which is focus on others first. So instead of me calling up, I have my new business, I'm going to call everybody and say, hey, I have a new business. If you know anybody that you can refer my way, please do. Okay, I don't want you to do that because that's not very helpful to most people that you're going to reach out to. If instead you call people and honestly care about what it is that they're doing first and ask them how they can help, how you can help them, and then say, by the way, I'm really excited because I just launched a new business and it might help some of your clients because of this, and this other thing. So if you can find a way to connect and some way that could be of value, because people want value. They do want to help you, and some will help you just because you have a new business and just because they like you. But for most people, find out what it is that they're doing, see how it works. Does it fit into what you do in any way? I have people who would be considered competitors who refer business to me for this one piece that I do, because they know that I won't step on their toes. They know that I won't try to take their customer away, because we've built up some, a relationship over time where they trust what I can do to help their customer and then send them on their way. And if you can do that, you'll get referrals every week. People will call you or they'll send you a note, and all of a sudden you have new business, and it's wonderful. You need to check your behavior, really think about being focused on the other person, focused on your beneficiary of your services, and also be someone that people want to talk to, so that when you leave, hopefully even this session, you'll have a more positive feeling than you have a negative feeling. Like, oh, that was a good use of my time. Or there was one thing that was helpful, right? I remember this thing I used to do. I haven't done this anymore. And so that's what you want to be. You want to be additive instead of taking away. You know, life can be hard for some people. We want this to be valuable, positive, upbeat. And so the other thing that I want to say is to think abundantly. And what I mean by that is that there's a big, big world out there. There's lots of money flowing. There's lots of people out there to buy your goods and services. One of the saddest things that I've seen when it comes to referring is that someone, I know my friend Joanne from Seattle is on here today. And if I said, well, that Joanne, you know, I referred her business and she never did anything for me. Now that's what some people do. And you didn't do that, Joanne, but I'm just using you as an example because it doesn't matter whether if I give someone a referral, it doesn't matter if they give one back to me. It really doesn't. Because what happens is in the law of abundance, and I don't want to get too woo-woo on anybody, but it's a true fact. I've seen this for 20 years, is that if somebody does something for me, I have the opportunity to turn around and do something for somebody else. And then somebody else does something for that other person. And it just goes that way because you have a big expanded mindset. So don't be small-minded about, I'm not going to give that person a referral because they won't give me one back. Don't worry about it. Just help your buyers, help your customers, help people that need things, that need services and products by telling them who could be a really good fit for them. And don't worry about whether that person will ever give you a referral or not, because you'll get one from somebody else. I promise it, because I've seen it happen for many, many people over the years. Thanks. Somebody said, Tara said, so true. Yes. Bring on the woo-woo. All right. So next slide. Isis, you're awesome. So now you know what the 3 lists are: clients, prospects, strategic referrers. I'd be curious if anyone does track referrers or partners in their CRM or their database or whatever it is that they use. I'm going to give you some ideas about things that you can do. So we can go to the next slide, and then we'll have some good time. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, here's my assignment. And you know, you don't have to do it, but I would love to encourage you to consider doing this. Create a list somewhere, Evernote, on your desk. I'm very visual. I don't know if you are, but make it where you can actually see this every day. If you do it online, it's fine, but you have to be able to see it. So put it somewhere that you'll see it at least several times a week. All right. Can I ask for that? And I want you to put a list of these people that can refer you. Start with 10 if you can. I know some people say, I've had people say, I only have 2 people. Okay, start with 2, but then get to 10 and then get to 20 and then get to 50. In my first year of business, I had 100 strategic referral partners. I had no business. I started at 0, and I'll tell you what I did at that time. This was a number of years ago, but I had these really cool postcards, and postcards are still in vogue. You know, you can still do a postcard campaign as long as you know where people are staying. It's harder when people are, you know, living somewhere other than going into an office. That can be a problem. But if you can do that, if you can reach someone through their corporate office that they can forward it on. I did a series of postcards. So every month I sent 100 postcards to my strategic referrers. Now 100 is a lot, but even if I had done 20 or 25, I sent 100, and every postcard had one word on it, like inspire. And then all the way around the postcard, it had these little motivational words. So it wasn't about me. It wasn't my logo. It wasn't anything. It was just these cool inspirational words. And I would go and see people in person later in the year. And I saw a couple of people that put all of them up on their wall because they were just really cool. So I haven't done anything like that for a while, but sending quarterly notes, doing something, kind of brainstorm about how you could plan this out. This is a part that's the process. Definitely do some kind of an annual holiday card. It could be Valentine's Day. You can do $5 Starbucks cards in the US and Canada and probably elsewhere. It's not too late to send 10 or 20 of those today or tomorrow, the next couple of days. And I saw Sam was saying he has a spreadsheet. Is that right, Sam? To track pipeline of partners with some custom features to generate some nice graphs. That sounds neat. I have Team Desk Wall using it today, using it for today's advice. Good. Any other ideas? I'd love to hear about them, but do it as a process. So create your list, take your time. You can say, by the end of Q1, I'm going to have my list of strategic referral partners. And then what I want you to do is just to keep track and just update when you send them something. If you send them a note, if you send them a card, if you have a conversation, and just make sure, because when you're present on their mind, they will think of you. And how many times have you done something where you run into somebody and they go, oh, I forgot that you do that. I should have referred you. That's why you do it. Okay. Last slide. Is that our last slide? There we go. Do we have time for questions? Colin?
We do have time for questions. So Isis, you can stop sharing screen. The Q&A box, which has some good questions in it, was blocking my unmute and video button. So, great technical difficulties across the board today. But there are some great questions. So if you guys have any, please place them in the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. But I do like this first question that came in, which is, what sales assets do we need to arm our referrers with?
Interesting. Well, sales assets is it's a loaded term. So I'm going to say a CRM system at a minimum. We use HubSpot. There's, a million different, Nimble, whatever system you use. There's a lot of different ways where you can track what you're doing with that person, and just make sure that you're having a regular conversation in some way, whether it's email, in person, not in person necessarily, maybe it is, but most likely it's going to be phone, email, LinkedIn, and so forth.
Amazing. And I believe the question could be asking so you have these lists of strategic referrers that you are nurturing. Yes. What do you need to give them to help you with your?
Oh, gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah. Let them know very clearly who you serve, how you help people, and examples of companies and how you help them. Because when people hear a story about how you help them, then they can better understand and explain. I think my very first strategic referrer years ago, he called me and he said, I don't really understand what it is that you do, but I have this company I'm working with and they really need help. And so he didn't know fully, but he was real close, and it turned out to be a good client.
And do you recommend that they share a deck or more information than just your contact information? And
yeah, if possible. They literally could be feet on the street for you, and you may want to get into a more formal arrangement of a referral fee. That's a whole conversation, but we do give people a referral fee in some cases, and in other cases people refer us and we send them a gift and thank them. It just depends. But yeah, especially if you're going to have a referral relationship, it's really helpful to have each other's decks and understand what it is that they do.
Mm-hmm. And just in my experience, sending too much information at the first draw, usually it results in a come to later to this email. So
Yeah, it's too overwhelming, right? You got to keep it simple.
Yep, keep it simple. Hi, Tom. I know Lori. She does this really great thing with sales, and I think that she could help your organization. Interested in introduction. Boom.
Perfect.
Tweetable.
Perfect. Yeah, and you get to working with people who know that if I can't help them, I'll send them to someone else, and then I'll close the loop, and I'll come back and say, thanks again for that referral, Colin. I just want you to know what happened, because that's really important. Don't neglect the people that referred you in. Let them know, even if something didn't happen. And I'd like to thank them before something happens, because regardless if something happens, I really appreciate that you thought of me, because it was a really good fit.
Amazing. Yeah, following up is very important, especially these days.
Yes.
All right, let's see what we've got in these questions. Here's an interesting one. Would you recommend e-blasting? And Sean, if you can put in the chat either or in the Q&A box, are you saying, are you email marketing with an engine to these refers? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I'm gonna say probably not, without knowing all the detail. I don't like, I really like personalization, and it's very hard to personalize and blast a message. That's not to say I could blast something real simple if it's positive, like, hey, thanks, here's a gift card or something. But I'm not going to blast a message. I'm going to personalize for me, because I don't have 1,000 people I need to follow, reach today. So I know it's different for different businesses, but as you can, personalize.
I think that's super smart. A little bit of extra time goes a long way these days. Let's see. So aren't our customers also refers, or should they be?
Yeah, great question. I mean, customers definitely are referrers. They're the classic referrer. You'll see them on websites. Most companies will have some kind of client endorsements. And I know, there's nothing more rewarding than helping a customer so well that they want their friends that are also CEOs or that are also in roles that you help to do business with you. And we're fortunate in that happens for us on a regular basis. And I think it's the ultimate compliment.
Great. Do you have any thoughts on referral fees? When should we pay referrers, if at all?
Yeah. I've gone all over the place, over the years, different things. I'm not as much of a super formal person. So I've been known to not have a formal referral program with someone, but I might send them, some money, a check or something, just because I was so appreciative for something they did. But then again, it's very easy to have an agreement in place that's clear for both sides. So if it's a percentage, and we have different services that have different margins. So some of the assessments that we do, for example, are not high margin. It's really to get to know the client and to learn about them. So I can't do a lot of, I can't pay a lot to a referrer, but I can give that person another client. So that's the other thing, is that even if you say, oh, I can't really afford 10 or 20%, 25%, do you know of other potential clients for the person that referred you? Because if you could send a couple of those, most people are pretty happy about that.
Great. And we at the center also believe in the pay it forward mentality. So can you go more on that one? Another great question came in around, do we need certain terms and conditions or a disclaimer on any referral asset that we develop?
On an asset that you develop? I'm not sure do you understand that question, Colin?
I'm an anonymous attendee, so if you want to, if our good friend who made that can.
Yeah, if you can tell us more.
It's a little bit more, but I believe what they're saying is something around protecting intellectual property.
Okay,
or
for
a
sure.
referral asset, but
yeah, I mean,
you shouldn't be giving anybody a look under the hood of the engine until
Right. Correct.
they're
Yeah.
they're in front of you.
Yeah, I wouldn't give out too much of the secret sauce until you knew that they were going to be working with you.
All right. Another great question. Do you recommend putting referral fee arrangements in a contract, or do these tend to happen more on a handshake basis?
I don't do handshakes, contracts. I mean, you can do a single page, real clear. I just did one with a company, sent me one the other day to do a referral arrangement. It's very straightforward. Just keep it simple and, sign it and date it, and then review them periodically. I'm not an attorney, but that's what I've learned so far.
Great. It's always good to have somebody with a more legal expertise than myself in your corner as well,
Yeah.
amongst the many other things. Let's see. This is an interesting one. In COVID times, what have you seen as working to keep in contact with your referral sources? Are you doing virtual mixers, etc.?
That's a great one. I love virtual mixers, and that's such a fun thing to do, is if you can invite your strategic referrers together, and they don't know each other, but they could do business with each other. I have a colleague of mine, and she works with CEOs. And so she periodically, I think quarterly, will do a virtual get together with all these different CEOs, and some have connected and gone on to do business together. So I think that's an excellent idea. I like to pick up the phone, believe it or not, and I just call people. So, and I'll set a time to talk with them. We'll Zoom, we'll do a phone call, either way.
Amazing. Let's see. Lewis has a great question around what are some of your favorite books, websites? And I know you wrote a book, Lori, so feel free to share with everybody that will help you to master the process of growing and maximizing the output of your referral network.
Oh, I don't think there are a lot of books about referrals. I know that Joanne Black she's someone I know, and she's written about referral. She's really known as, that's really her skill set is in all about referrals. So Joanne Black has a book. Also, I would look online on, I would just Google referrals and see what comes up. I do it in person. I probably should write a book. But the book that I wrote is called She Sells, and it's coming out next month. And it's for sales leaders on how to get more women into sales and sales leadership, because we have a real shortage in all areas, every role in sales. So
that's great. So everyone check that book out when it comes. Hopefully it's of interest. Sales is the flavor of ice cream that we're eating today, so I think people will enjoy it a lot.
Yeah.
Back to referring with customers. They're thinking about referring their existing customers to boost their referrals. Would you suggest doing that?
To refer to boost?
Providing options of referrals for customers to hopefully invite more referrals to them.
Yeah. I mean, why not? Why not? Yeah, that was okay.
All right. Let's see. Scanning through these. These are all great questions, so keep them coming in, y'all. We still have some time, so
Can I answer this one? How do you suggest we make cold outreach via LinkedIn for potential strategic refers? I think it's a very safe approach. And as a matter of fact, when I first got on LinkedIn many years ago, I was an early adopter. I only looked for strategic referrers because it's less threatening than saying, hey, Colin, I sell this. Do you want any of those? But instead, I say, Colin, you're with NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center. You probably run into a lot of entrepreneurs that are looking for sales ideas. Perhaps you might be interested in this resource or that resource. And we build a relationship that way. So absolutely, LinkedIn could be a great source for that.
Great. Let's see. Can you suggest a location or to find a referral agreement template? Is it in your book?
No. but it should be. I'll find one. How's that? I will find one between Joanne Black and I, and I'll get that to you. Is that good?
Yeah, amazing.
We'll
We'll
follow up with everyone.
We'll Megan says, find one and write the next book.
Okay, so someone put, that's no more cold calling. Yeah. Joanne has a lot, her whole strategy is to not do cold calls and build referrals. And I know she has a program as well. So I'll chime in on that. But yeah, I'll follow up with you with some resources.
Great. Back to the referral list, Philly S has a question around how do you separate the different types of industries?
Well, if it's, if I'm tracking in a CRM system or on a spreadsheet, I'm going to put what industry it is, and then I will follow up accordingly. So I have technology clients, SaaS clients, industrial clients. Industrial clients and SaaS clients are very different. And so I'm probably not going to do the same messaging and maybe not follow up in the same way with them. And so, yeah, I just have a column. I mean, it's a field, it's a column, either way.
Amazing. Ooh, Sandy's got a good question here around, they have a list of refers, but how do they build a new list? How do you get more referrals?
How do you get more referrals?
Yep. Who should they reach out to get more?
Well, look for those complementary fields, those complementary industries that don't do what you do, but could benefit. When I talked about sales and marketing, if I go in and help your company improve with all their salespeople so that they can sell, but the marketing is really poor, it won't do any good. And by the same token, if a marketer helps with value proposition and all sorts of great tools, but the sales reps won't pick up the phone or won't, connect through email or what have you, then that's no good for them either. So think of, for your business, what's that complementary thing that would go, that would make your customers more successful if they also had that other thing that you don't provide. And that's who I would go to, and all their competitors. You're the pipeline. You don't have to just pick one, right?
Amazing. There was one pre-submitted question that I wanted to ask that I thought was interesting for many of the founders in our community probably today, is how do you scale activities like this to make the best use of limited time and resources?
Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons why I like it to be a system, because we know that on the first day of the quarter, or, do it quarterly instead of monthly if you're limited on resources, or do it on the first or the last day of every month, and do it like clockwork. And then not only will you make good use of your time because you'll get it done, but you're going to be building that currency on an ongoing basis. And there are people that, will go for months without talking to you, and then boom, they'll refer you business. And it's amazing. But I'd prefer if I did catch up with them periodically to say, hey, what are you working on? How can I help? What do you have coming up, Colin? Oh, I'll help you promote some of those upcoming, you have some great talks coming up. Maybe I can help Colin. He's not going to forget that. And someday when, my book's out or something else, he might think to send an email on my behalf. And that's just the way it works. And it's not tricky. It's not deceitful. I'm going to try to help others first, and then they're going to help me because I've built up that currency.
That's great. One question around the initial outreach for referrals from existing customers. What does that note look like?
Yes. Well, some people make the mistake and say, well, if you know anybody, that's looking for what we do, I'd appreciate it if you'd send them my way. I don't find that to be very effective. Here's what I do. I'll work with a really awesome CEO or company founder or someone that's leading a sales team, and we had a great experience. And I'll send them a note afterwards and I'll say, I really enjoyed working with you, and I'm looking for more clients like you. So I'm complimenting them. And it's not a trick because I really did like working with them, but I'd love to work. Sometimes we think about, some of we can name our clients on our hands and say, oh, we really want, if only all our clients were like them. They're really wonderful people. They pay on time. They're very respectful, very helpful. So I just say, if you know anyone like you, most CEOs belong to groups. Most heads of whatever department you work with, they belong in groups and they know other people. And so that's how I get referrals.
That's great. And sound advice. I think one thing that a lot of people have been asking about is once you get into that meeting with the referral, so your first meeting with the new potential client,
yeah.
What's the difference been for you in COVID and pitching in Zoom versus in person and travel?
Yeah, I traveled a lot in 2019 and 2018 and 2017. And yet I've worked out of a home office for many years. So half of it, the office, working in a home office didn't bother me. Being on Zoom, is harder to read people than in person for sure. I think you over communicate, you follow up maybe a little more and stay on their mind. For example, one thing that I do when I get off of a meeting with someone on Zoom, I'll send an email with notes from what I took away. I didn't used to do that, and I didn't always do that in person, but I do it now so that I don't forget, because I'm on 8 Zooms in a day, and also so they don't forget. And if I miss something, they can tell me. So that's one tip I would have.
No, that's great. And before COVID, I was not a big fan of being on camera during these Zoom calls.
Right.
And now it seems weird when we're not.
That's right.
So,
it's weird to be just on a phone.
Yeah, it's truly a new world, right? You can't see,
Yeah.
It's nice to be able to see the other human, especially because most of us, except for
yes, and the advent of Clubhouse. Are you up on Clubhouse? It's so interesting. So interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right, so many great questions coming in. So considering offering a 10% off project free from a new client or 10% off monthly retainer, is that too rich? I'm believing they're talking about discounting.
Right. I mean, it depends if someone wanted that service. If it's something that they didn't necessarily want, it wouldn't be as valuable. But I definitely want to reward people, for helping me out and for thinking of me. So it could be, yeah. I don't know what your margin is.
And for anybody who out there in the nexus of attendee land who is looking to learn more about tactical enterprise sales strategies, because I believe the 10% discount isn't somebody like me, it's going to be somebody who's in a procurement department. We just hosted yesterday a webinar on how to catch a big fish. So that's on our Facebook, our YouTube, and our website. So check that out. The recording is available online. That one is a step-by-step guide, everything from lead gen to closing the deal. So,
now, that's the question that I just saw come up. Do you have time? Do we have time for one more?
We have time. We've got 8 solid minutes for a good time there.
The anonymous attendee said, I am apprehensive to recommend someone I have not worked with personally. I couldn't agree with you more. There's a way that you can say, I haven't directly worked with this person, but I heard really great things about them. And I know that it fits generally what you're looking for. It's kind of up to you. You decide. I mean, I'm just going to connect you to, and that's it. And that's how I get away from feeling, bad if, we've all done that. You recommended somebody that you loved and they just never followed up and didn't help the person out. I won't do that more than once. If somebody lets my prospect down or lets my good client down, I'll definitely never refer them again, probably. But if it's someone I don't know, I will definitely say I haven't worked with this person.
That's true. Very, very true. All right. So let's see. We've got one question a little broader, but I liked it from the pre-submitted ones. What advice would you give your younger self before you had this methodology?
Before I had this methodology,
Yep, before you were the master of the referrals, what advice would you give your
uh,
younger self?
I would encourage myself to be more focused and be more clear about my messaging. I think it cost me a couple of years of really getting good clients because people tend to, a lot of entrepreneurs try to do too many things. I do these 5 things. Focus, hone in on 1 or 2 things that you do really well, and then let people know about those 1 or 2 things. And from there, you can build, because my messaging wasn't as clear. That means my website wasn't as clear. What I said to people wasn't as clear. And once it got cleared up and I rebranded to Score More Sales, a lot of things happened that were much more beneficial.
That's great. There's a couple of people asking about this one, so I'll ask it in a more broad sense. So I'm guessing a lot of people here would like to connect with you. What's the best way to reach out to learn about if you ever coach or mentor new entrepreneurs?
Well, you're welcome to reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's where I hang out the most. Although I am in Clubhouse now, and I am, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you name it, wherever you are, whatever you like. I don't typically coach entrepreneurs, but I'm happy to talk to you about it. I'm happy to refer you to one of the many. I have a group of sales experts called womensalespros.com, and there's 50 experts in that group, and many do work with entrepreneurs. So I'd be happy to share that knowledge.
How on brand. If you can't help, you'd be happy to refer somebody.
Yeah, that's right. See, I didn't even think about it, and it happened.
Amazing. Well, we've got another 4 minutes and we've got a little bit more time, but I think unless we've got another question, because one of the questions is a comment. One thing that we first like to do is thank you for your time, and thank you everyone for joining. But Lori, what's the one thing that you want people to take away from our conversation today?
Think of the value of having a list of people, even if there's 10 of them, that can, on an ongoing basis, can refer you, send you more people, instead of one off. And track it, and just try it. Try it for a quarter. Try it for 6 months. And if it doesn't change your world, let me know, because I've seen it work so many times. And I just think it's something that once people do it, they love it. And it really, really helps.
That's great. Having systems for everything is often an efficient move and great. So Lori, thank you so much for sharing your time and your expertise with our community online today. We really appreciate it. For all of you out there, appreciate you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you for many of our upcoming events. Also, check out Lori's upcoming book in the next month. I believe Isis dropped it in the chat, so thank you, Isis, for doing that. Upcoming in the next week, we've got a lot of great stuff. So next Tuesday, we've got how to get PR for your business without a publicist with James Oliver Jr. Don't miss that one. He's great, and he's got a lot of great energy. Next Wednesday, we also have practical tips to help grow your business with Paul D'Souza. So check out those. And thanks again, everyone. And big shout out to Lori for sharing some of her expertise today. We hope to see you all next time. Good luck, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. That's all, folks. Thank you.